After being kicked out by her husband, a woman seeks refuge in her late grandmother's house, taking with her only her daughter and the painful memories of the past. In her despair, while trying to rebuild her life, she opens an old mailbox, unaware that hidden among the papers lies a secret that could change their lives forever. Elise stared out the window of the old countryside house, watching the sun rise behind the distant hills. It had only been a week since she and her one-year-old daughter, Sophia, arrived, but it felt like an eternity. The memories of her past life, her failed marriage, constant humiliation, and abrupt expulsion seemed like someone else's. She took a deep breath, inhaling the familiar scent of old wood and wildflowers from the garden. This house, once her late grandmother Clara's, was both a refuge and a fresh start. Elise had always been close to her grandmother. Clara, a strong woman, had raised her family alone after her husband passed away. Elise spent her childhood summers in this house, listening to Clara's stories about perseverance and courage. Those were the happiest times of her life. When Clara passed away 3 years ago, Elise was devastated and couldn't bring herself to return to the house, until now, when it was the only place left to go. Soft cry pulled Elise from her thoughts. Sophia had woken up. She picked up her daughter, feeling the warmth of her tiny body. "Good morning, my love," she whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Shall we have breakfast?" As Elise prepared a bottle for Sophia and made herself coffee, she reflected on how they ended up here. Her marriage to Paolo had started with so much promise, but quickly soured after Sophia's birth. They had moved into Paolo's parents' house after the wedding, supposedly as a temporary solution. But what was meant to be a short-term arrangement turned into years of imprisonment. Elise's in-laws, especially her mother-in-law, constantly reminded her of her precarious position. "Another day without paying rent, huh?" her mother-in-law would say with a malicious smile, making Elise feel small and insignificant. Paolo, meanwhile, seemed indifferent to her discomfort. For him, not worrying about rent or a mortgage was a blessing, and he ignored the hints and barbs his mother threw at Elise. The situation worsened after Sophia was born, and Elise decided to stay home to care for their daughter. Paolo agreed, claiming it was his duty to provide for the family. But this decision left Elise feeling even more voiceless and trapped. Arguments between them became frequent, and Paolo admitted he didn't know how to be a father. The breaking point came after a particularly heated argument. Frustrated, Paolo told Elise if she was so unhappy, she should leave. He wanted a divorce. Elise felt like the ground beneath her had disappeared. With Sophia in her arms and a few hastily packed bags, Elise left the house, not knowing where to go. It was her mother who suggested she go to her grandmother Clara's house. "It's been abandoned for years," her mother said, "but it could be a good place for you to start over." The first days were hard. The house was in terrible condition, covered in dust and in need of many repairs, but Elise was determined. She cleaned and fixed what she could, with little Sophia playing quietly nearby. On the third day, while cleaning the attic, Elise found an old box full of photos and letters. Among the pictures were several of her as a child, playing in the garden with Clara. Seeing those images brought tears to Elise's eyes, but also gave her a renewed sense of purpose. Clara always said that life was full of ups and downs, and the key was to keep your head up during the difficult times. One morning, while organizing the kitchen, Elise decided to check the old mailbox at the end of the stone path. To her surprise, it was crammed with old letters and documents. Among them, she found a sealed envelope addressed to her grandmother. Curious, she opened it and began to read. It was a letter from a lawyer, dated just a few months before Clara's death. The letter revealed that Clara had taken out a private pension in Elise's name, specifically to secure her future. The money was available to Elise, but she hadn't known about it until now. Elise couldn't believe what she was reading. She remembered how Clara always emphasized the importance of financial independence. Could this be her grandmother's final gift? The next day, Elise visited the bank mentioned in the letter. There, she learned that Clara had invested a significant amount in a pension specifically for Elise and her future children. Elise cried tears of relief and gratitude. With this money, She could not only repair the house, but also secure a stable future for herself and Sophia. In the months that followed, Elise's life transformed. She hired professionals to repair the house, but insisted on being involved in every detail, choosing the colors and furniture herself. The once abandoned garden bloomed again, filled with colorful flowers and a small vegetable patch. Sophia loved playing among the plants, her laughter echoing through the yard, reminding Elise of her own childhood. One day, Paolo called unexpectedly. He sounded hesitant, even regretful, and asked how they were doing. He said he missed Sophia. Elise took a deep breath before responding. Part of her wanted to scream and let out all the hurt and anger she still felt. But as she watched Sophia play with a butterfly, Elise realized that anger no longer had a place in her life. "We're fine, Paolo," she said calmly. "Sophia is growing up fast. You can visit her if you'd like." After the call, Elise hugged Sophia tightly, whispering, "Your great-grandmother Clara used to say life is like a garden. Sometimes we have to pull out some plants so others can grow. But if we're patient and take care of it, there will always be beautiful flowers to bring us joy." That night, as Elise sat on the porch under the stars, she felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. There would be challenges ahead, but for the first time in a long while she was ready for them. She and Sophia had each other. They had a home, and they had the strength and wisdom of generations of strong women running through their veins. Tomorrow was bright and full of possibilities. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to the channel. Let us know how much you like the story by leaving a comment with a number from 1 to 5. And don't forget to watch the video on your screen. See you soon.